And here we are, Saturday evening for me. Hello, everybody. It is May 18, 2024. We're almost halfway through 2024. And think about the first half. How has it gone? Maybe for you, fine, untouched. But millions have been affected. And far more all over the world. Affected not in a good way. So, let me just say hello to those of you who have joined us tonight. Sharon D, Analog Synth Player, the 90s Brooklynite, A Brooklynite, hi. Alicia DeMoss, hello. D Moore, Andrew Cruz, Dude, WTF, Kim Blanchard, Blues du Jours, Barb in Ohio, James B. Hello, 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 hello. You're still sick going to the doctor on Monday morning. I didn't know you were sick. Okay, so you probably mentioned it. I can't read every comment in the chat, but I'm sorry to hear that, Kim. And I hope it's not anything serious. And I hope you feel better. And I hope your visit to the doctor is successful. Patricia White, hello. And L2024, I thank you very, very much. As always, big shout out to my subscribers. Joy, hello. Hypocrites Matrix, Sandra Pilar, hello. I hope you're feeling okay, Sandra. Darren James Spencer, hi. So let's just do a quick gander at radar. Well, take note of what's happening in Wisconsin. All of these supercells. Thunderstorms. Oh, I forgot to put my mic in front of me. I apologize. All of the supercells in Wisconsin. With the time zone change. What? Due to a location change, a new time zone has been detected. If correct, hit OK to set. I didn't go anywhere. So what's that about? I never got something like that before. Has anybody else? That's a little concerning. Due to a location change. Alright, well, it just disappeared without me answering. Yeah, I'm not too crazy about our evil world as well. Definitely not. Alright, so new time zone. I don't get it. I don't understand. Has somebody else come into my infiltrated my channel in a different time zone? That was weird. Okay. Donna Davidson, hello. Nice to see you. Better the computer changes location. No. It's only concerning when you think that somebody else is here with me and I don't know, but they're in another location. Could that happen? Absolutely. But what am I going to do about it? Nothing, because I don't know. Oracle 11, hello. Maybe I'm in line for some Carolinas. Well, I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time in this time zone. I'm not kidding. I'm not thrilled with it. I would rather be on the East Coast with that time zone. Might be weird, but I'm talking the truth. So yeah, what we are seeing here in Wisconsin is concerning. So I hope you guys in kind of, well, central to east Wisconsin, that you all stay safe. And look at what's happening down here. Look at North Carolina. Come on. This whole line of supercells, all in a very neat line, and more joining the line. Yes, nanobots have GPS, and they can move on their own to join others, especially when someone's sitting at a supercomputer putting in the coordinates. All right, stay safe in North Carolina, central North Carolina. What's happening here in Alabama and North Georgia? That doesn't look good, especially for Alabama. But it's interesting how all of these thunderstorms now are all in a line. They're all in a fabulous line. Well, we know why. We've got supercells acting up here in Kansas. And more severe weather coming. So, always be prepared. That's all I can say, is just always be prepared, because you never know what might arise. I don't know what the kiffness is. Javster. I don't know what kiffness is. Oh, it's an awesome cat song. Okay. So let's take a look at weather. And first, wow, what's going on? Ever since I got that update 2 days ago, my computer, all of the defaults, everything has changed, and it pisses me off. You know, Microsoft has to let you know, we do own this. You don't own your computer. We own your computer. All right, so I'm just setting up. Ah, thank you. Good. In line. So, first I'm going to play this. All my life I've heard people say...
If I've heard people say, how are you? And ask that of people, and they don't really care. They hardly ever really care. They just want people to say, oh, I'm fine, or I'm good, and it really doesn't mean anything. It's a cultural nicety that really has no purpose. Why don't we just say to people, hi, I hope you have a good day, or something like that instead? It just would make so much more sense. My great aunt almost a century ago really hated it when people would ask, how are you? And so she got to the point where she responded, they would say, how are you? And she would go, so-so, which was very cryptic, and it usually made them ask a follow-up question if they really cared. So for myself, I rarely ask people, how are you? Unless I really want to know. Okay, pet peeve.
There's so much that we just do robotically, and we think that we're free, sovereign human beings. And we're so caught up in this, you know, the social niceties that mean nothing. They're meaningless. It's empty words. And I just came across that. That's why I'm playing it. So, yeah, it gets to me as well. So... oh boy. Houston storms leave 7 dead. Last night it was 4. Now it's 7. Buildings shattered. Power outages may last weeks. And guess what? It's getting quite hot. It is getting quite hot. Yeah. Tornado in Houston. Area devastate man's home. He becomes emotional. No kidding.
A lot of the homes now look like this. The rooftops are covered in the blue tarps, and there are splintered trees in their yards. Many of the homes now have mangled fences in their yards. They're still working on the rooftops here on these homes to my left, because not only did the tornado tear through this neighborhood, ripping off shingles, but on some homes, the tornado ripped off entire rooftops.
And all of a sudden it got really dark and still, and so we moved inside, fortunately, at the last minute. And then it sounded like a freight train.
There was water coming in through this
There
ceiling
was.
fan right here?
And most of the fans have water dripping down.
But along a couple-mile path here, we had a tornado move through this neighborhood. We're rating it an EF1, 110 mile per hour winds based on the damage done to the roofs and kind of well-built structures in these neighborhoods.
We were right here. There's four of us, and the last three of us was going out this way. And my wife, she's the first, said, "Get on the floor." We both just dove on the floor right there.
Wow. And a big piece of wood came flying through this window.
Yeah.
What is some of the damage out here that tells you this was a tornado?
Well, we have a survey tool, and basically if it's a single-family home well built, we look at how is the roof holding up, how much of it is damaged, are there broken windows. In this case, we have both. We have significant roof damage and broken windows.
So the wind crumpled your garage door.
Yes.
It forced this door open, causing
Yes.
this hole right here and
Yes.
ripping it from the frame,
Yes.
and then took the door right here completely off the hinges.
It did. It did do that.
And it's a good feeling in your heart to see other people coming out to help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a good, mostly a good, close community. And you can see neighbors.
I see it's very emotional for you.
Well, yeah. I'm an emotional guy. I don't like it. Sorry about that. I wish you would take all those out of there.
Bless you.
I don't tell anybody on me on Fox 26.
Oh, good on those neighbors for coming out and helping this man. Very good. Oh boy. Apocalyptic scenes in Texas as monster storms rip through Lone Star State, killing at least 7, leaving 1 million without power. Ah, yeah. I heard from a subscriber who lives in Houston. Because of the power outage, her husband brought her to a hotel because she's got a lot of physical or medical issues. And she said, "It's good that you didn't move here." Yeah. Yep. It's glass. Wow. No, that was quite the wind, huh? And it sheared a whole lot of that wall. Power outages could last for weeks. Not good. Not good, especially considering the heat. So, mosquitoes are swarming around Houston. The future could bring even more. It's climate change. Standing in his neatly manicured front yard in his Houston suburb, Mitch Varley stopped for a moment, slapped his right arm. Did he get the mosquito in time before it bit? Not that it matters really, because there will be another. If you open the car door to go somewhere, you've got 10 mosquitoes inside. Wow. Nothing like bringing on a whole lot of hell. Alberta wildfires. Homes are going up.
drove into the southern part of Entwistle, we saw some heavy damage. We're in a wooded area right now where as we were driving by, we saw about 3 to 4 private properties caught up in the wildfire. Right behind me appears to be what is left of a home. We see just a chimney left standing, a vehicle, and a basketball net, but that is all that is recognizable. And not too far from here, we also saw a very popular river tubing business that is now completely destroyed. And I know that you can't see this, but the smell of smoke in the area, even as we were driving in off the highway, is extremely heavy. We saw peace officers wearing masks for their own safety, but this area is clearly, dealing with the aftermath of the wildfire.
Well,
When we
what
drove
does it look
into the
like?
southern part of
What
Entwistle,
does it look
we
like this. The same narrative, yes, it's those winds, the high winds and the dryness in the air and the high temperatures, and it's climate change, guys. Look at all the people evacuated. So, oh man, repeat. Exactly what was going on last year, now it's going on this year. The air quality in the U.S. from these Canadian wildfires. A lot of people evacuated. Alright, so now first I showed you France, then I showed you Italy. Now we've got Germany underwater.
Saarland, a picturesque state in western Germany, found itself in the grip of a severe flooding crisis as unrelenting rains pounded the region. What began as a routine weather event quickly escalated into a full-blown emergency, with streets transforming into raging rivers and entire neighborhoods submerged beneath the unforgiving water masses.
Und tschüss. Ach du.
The rainfall was nothing short of extraordinary, with meteorologists recording a staggering 100 liters of precipitation per square meter within a 24-hour span. This deluge proved too much for the region's infrastructure to handle, resulting in widespread flooding, overflowing sewage systems, and landslides that threatened the safety of residents. As the crisis unfolded, local authorities wasted no time in declaring a state of emergency across large swaths of Saarland. The districts of Neunkirchen, Saarpfalz, and the Saarbrücken Regional Association found themselves on the front lines of this battle against nature's fury.
Nature's fury, that's what it is. Yeah, because we're just conspiracy theorists when we talk about the geoengineering and the weather modification. Right? Right. Okay. I don't know exactly what's going on in the chat with Darren, maybe Barb in Ohio, I don't know. But Darren, I'm very sorry to hear that you too are experiencing a pretty heavy depression. And I get it. I get it. I get it. It's hard every single day. It's not easy to face, what we're living collectively, and then those of us who are experiencing circumstances that are very challenging, that make every day a real effort to get through. It only compounds, so I wish that there was something that I could do, that maybe we should have a support group, an online support group, but I can't do it with this, and I would have to do it with, Jesus. L24, what is that program that you use? I can't believe I can't remember the name. But you have to pay, and I am very, very now, very concerned about money. I'm there with Kim, sending you some good wishes. But I want people to feel at ease expressing how they feel in the chat without people coming by telling them whatever, which is judgmental or controlling them, telling them what they should be doing. Just let people be able to express how they feel. StreamYard. My God. It's not that people don't like to hear that, Curious Georgia. If your hope is in God, that's great. There's an awful lot of people who are different or maybe facing circumstances that are a little bit more challenging than others. So if it works for you, that's fabulous. I cannot do it free. We've had this discussion, L2024. I cannot do it free and have an awful lot of people join in. So, Gordon, what are you doing here? I'd like to know what you're doing here. You were banned? If you were banned, why are you here? And you're laughing your motherfucking ass off. So what are you doing here? Or are you just here to kind of inflame, people and the chat and cause just like any asshole off the street? Yeah, I did see your first comment, Gordon. So, I don't have time for people like you. There's an awful lot of people who are suffering. And Italy goes underwater. Here's Italy. The taking out bridges. I'm looking at this. It looks like a very sturdy bridge high up from this river. What happened here? I do know that extremely low frequencies can do exactly what you are looking at right here. All right, so U.S. power grid may become unreliable this summer. Watchdog warns. Parts of America could face difficulties in meeting electricity demand during the summer season, with renewable energy sources like wind and solar power posing a potential risk to reliable power supply. So why are we going with solar and wind when they're not reliable? Oh, it's climate change. That's right. So just get used to not having power whenever they decide to turn it off. Because that's essentially what they're doing. Electricity reliability for the upcoming June-September period. Regions include parts of Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Illinois, and Iowa. The determination of elevated risk is based on various factors, including potential low wind or solar energy conditions that could lead to a lower electricity supply. All right, so the bulk of the power system. You got Midwest Reliability Organization, Northeast Power Coordinating Council, Reliability First. You got CERC, Reliability Corporation, Texas Reliability Entity, Western Electricity Coordinating Council. All of them are concurring. Texas, ERCOT, your Electric Reliability Council of Texas, Interconnection, which handles approximately 90% of Texas's electrical load, faces potential emergency conditions in summer evening hours when solar generation begins to ramp down. Yeah, very good move. That green energy. Newsom says climate change is partly to blame for California's budget deficit. Why is this so dark? I'm not understanding why I'm so dark. I shouldn't be dark. I just turned on the light. Anyway, yeah. All right, well, you guys in California, it's climate change. So, you have to make sacrifices, okay? And here, NPR, Public TV, what PBS, Public Broadcasting. Extreme precipitation in the U.S. What is the title of this? Oh, our understanding of floods is all wrong. Hey, I'm going to put the link in, and you could listen to your government propaganda channel, and I'm just going to play a few minutes.
Are increasing at an alarming rate in the US and all over the world. But the problem isn't the amount of rain that falls in any one place, it's how long it takes the rain to fall. And fascinating new research sheds light on exactly how that's changing. Over the last century, global precipitation has only increased by 0.04 inches per decade. But looking at individual regions in the US, we can see that some places have experienced 30% more rain over the same period. However, more rain isn't the whole story. That's why the organization First Street created a groundbreaking risk map that shows a big change in what NOAA calls 100-year floods. These are events so extreme that the odds of them happening in any given year are about 1 in 100.
But now, those 100-year floods happen pretty much every 2 years. They've been happening an awful lot. But listen to your government propaganda site here tell you why floods are the way they are. We have misunderstood floods. So now we have to course correct when it comes to floods. I can't stand the lies. I cannot stand the lies. So once again, shout out to Real Fishing Life. He gets an awful lot of views on Twitter, but needs help on YouTube. And I'm going to post a link. You can click on the link, get to his channel, and subscribe. Be a support, because not a lot of people are posting on the weather modification and the geoengineering, so we need to support those who are still at it.
Tumbling on the seas, far away from dry land and its bitter memories, casting out my sweet life with abandoned love. Love ceiling bearing down on me, save the starry sky above with light in my head, you in my arms.
Good morning, freedom fighters. It is 6:12 a.m. Alaska time. That makes it 10:12 East Coast time. And that makes it 10 p.m. not orbit around a flat planet that is creating these lines.
All right, so I'm going to put the link in again. And he shows the obvious interference in the atmosphere that has been going on for a very, very long time, only getting more and more obvious. And we still have so many immature adults who, oh, I don't want to hear it. You're just a conspiracy theorist. And And even if they're doing it to control the climate change, which is out of control. Oh, God. All right, yeah. How about this I came across? Severe weather and strong storms lash the New South Wales coastline. New cyclone on the forecast. Uh-oh. So, Cyclone Oz. I just came across it, and I'm watching this, and I have to I don't think that this person is going to talk about the weather modification that's going on in Australia as well, the geoengineering, and but I mean, he opens with this.
Good morning, my name is Josh from Cyclones Oz. Happy Saturday. This morning we're going to be talking about some severe weather that's occurring now in New South Wales, and then we're going to take a look at general weather forecast for the rest of Australia, around Queensland, Western Australia, and up in the Northern Territory as well.
And he thinks that these are not manufactured clouds, but clouds brought about naturally. Could he possibly think that? Look at this. Look how straight-lined it is. And it's kind of like looking at, some sweater that is being knitted and it's not quite done yet. I mean, these are not natural clouds. Maybe the guy is in his 20s. I don't know. And he thinks that this is natural. But even here, the defined aspect. Don't you wish? Don't you wish? I will always wish. I will always wish. I don't get my wish, but hey, wish upon a star. Wish upon a star. And here, fear of home explosions, sinking land, increasing in West Jefferson County, which I believe this is Alabama.
Our entire community is being destroyed. Crumbling homes held up by jacks, cracks in concrete driveways and walls, deep holes in the ground, abandoned properties, Memorial Park, the ball fields locked up, gas pumps shut off. All signs something is very wrong in the Oak Grove and Adger communities. Locals blame mining by Crimson Oak Grove Resources.
Maybe somebody will realize what we're going through down here and get some interest, and maybe we can get some legislation to help us.
Everyone who lives here on Riley Circle is family. Property that includes a 150-year-old barn.
There's not a monetary amount that you could offer us to sell out and us move, because this is where we live. This is our home.
They're less than a quarter mile from where W.M. Griffiths' home exploded. He died from severe burns. His grandson also injured. The fire marshal ruled the cause undetermined, but the family's attorney claims a buildup of methane or other gases from the mines triggered the explosion after a well was capped.
Methane can get in that well and come.
Clara Riley has a well in her home that the mining company also wants to cap.
But if they cap it, there's a danger of explosion like Mr. Griffiths'. And then they said they can vent it, but if they vent it, there's still the risk of methane gas coming up in her house.
They've been told longwall mining work will be under their homes in the summer of 2025. That process can cause surfaces to sink, damage to homes, alter groundwater, and release methane through coal seams.
We work for everything that we have here. And, just to see somebody come in and walk all over us and they have no consideration. They put nothing back into the community, and they're making millions and millions of dollars.
Humphrey says most of the coal mined here is sent overseas to Japan and China. ABC 3340 News reached out to Crimson Oak Grove Management for comment on these complaints. No response.
We're going to stay here the rest of our life.
Are you worried, though? The explosion just...
Oh, yes, we're worried. That's the reason. That's the reason we're trying to get some answers.
Answers that have been very hard to come by. Tuesday at 6, we look into the history of federal safety inspections at Crimson Oak Grove.
No one is coming to help anyone. That's why we need community. Government is not there to help you. It's actually there to destroy you. which is very obvious now. And what is this? Oh, the migrant situation. This is in Ireland. So there is 18 trucks ferrying beautiful brand new modular homes into the tiny Irish village for hundreds of migrants from all over the world to be given for free.
Absolute madness. For the people of Ireland are still asleep. This is a little village in the back arse of nowhere, and it's been decimated. We already have 100 people from Bangladesh, Africa, Middle East, Georgia. There's a Mexican, Ukrainian. This is the crack. This is never ever going to end. For all the people that think this asylum scenario is going to end one day, it's not.
It's not.
Absolute madness.
So, unprecedented surge in Chinese illegal immigration raises security concerns. Boy, we're seeing an awful lot of these articles. An excerpt from Simon Hankinson's testimony before the House Homeland Security Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability at a hearing on security risk, the unprecedented surge in Chinese illegal immigration on Thursday, May 16. I'm going to read some of this excerpt. I served as a Foreign Service officer in 7 countries. I have adjudicated thousands of visa applications to facilitate lawful visits, commerce, and immigration to the United States while excluding aliens who were legally inadmissible. The visa process I worked with overseas stands in total contrast to what happens at the U.S. border today. Over the past 2 years, I have visited the border in Arizona, California, New York, and Texas. On those visits, I saw nationals of many countries apprehended by the Border Patrol. In San Diego last March, I watched Border Patrol dropping off dozens of aliens, including Chinese, at a bus stop to release them into the country. Mass release of people who entered the country illegally happens nearly every day, multiple times, at multiple locations. At best, this is a mockery of U.S. immigration law and sovereignty. At worst, it is a huge national security and community safety risk. In addition, too many Chinese aliens with connections to the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, People's Liberation Army, and the other state entities, it is statistically probable that the Department of Homeland Security is releasing people with serious criminal records onto the streets of the good old US of A. According to U.S. law, Department of Homeland Security is supposed to detain aliens who enter the country illegally, but the Biden administration, this has been going on. Okay, the Biden administration has really ramped it up, and they've brought in millions. We know that. But a whole lot came in during Trump. A whole lot came in during Obama. This is not a red-blue issue. It's bipartisan. And this border issue has been going on for decades. Decades, I say. And somehow, the simple fix of enforcing immigration law doesn't seem to come across to any representative, whether they're on the blue team or the red team. It's a simple fix. Enforce immigration law. Oh no, it's complicated and we've got to reform No, that's the bullshit narrative. Biden administration has replaced border control with mass processing, parole, and release. Department of Homeland Security has also abused immigration parole at an unprecedented scale. In January 21, which included the first 11 days of the new Biden administration, the Border Patrol encountered 17 Chinese aliens between ports of entry. By January 2024, it was 3,700 in 1 month alone. As of April 30 this year, Department of Homeland Security had already encountered 48,501 inadmissible Chinese illegal migrants in fiscal year 2024. 27,583 of them between ports of entry. That's an awful lot coming from a country that we have declared our enemy. Nearly all are being released into the asylum process that will take years to conclude. At the end of that process, those ordered removed are extremely unlikely to be deported because the Chinese government doesn't, and other countries have said, no, we don't want them back. We don't want them back. So, I'm going to play quite a bit of this. It was very good, and I'll put the link in the chat because I'm not playing the full 18 minutes, but yeah, you got to listen to this guy. What this Department of Homeland Security guy said terrified me to the core. Well, it doesn't terrify me to the core, but collectively speaking, we should respond appropriately to what you're going to hear, right? Yeah. Americans, they don't respond. On the whole, I'm not talking about you. I don't know you. Okay? On the whole, don't respond appropriately to mostly everything. That's a generalization coming from my encounters with an awful lot of people. I've actually had encounters with a lot of people in my life. This is a very long, dry period for me, and it hurts. But, yeah. All right. If they did respond appropriately, things would be different.
Well, this story just keeps getting crazier and crazier. You better pay attention. Wake up, America, as to what is happening right now. The more we learn about it, the more troubling it is. The United States government working hand in hand with non-governmental organizations, NGOs, to bring millions of illegal immigrants into the United States. If you don't think this is all planned, then you need to get your head examined. Nothing happens by coincidence. This is all part of a massive operation. J.J. Carroll is a 24-year veteran of the Customs and Border Protection. And what he's just uncovered as part of his new documentary called Treason is just astonishing. JJ has been kind enough to send me dispatches of the documentary as they are filming this, and it's just jaw-dropping. Speaking with sources at these NGOs who don't want their face on camera, they don't want their voices on camera either. They are what they're telling JJ is just shocking. Listen.
It was Jewish Family Services, and then you had Jewish Family Services who also had these underlying NGOs under them, whether it be Lutheran Family Services, Catholic Family Services, and then all these different family services, but they all have the same parent company.
So you would pay Jewish Family Services, and then they would pay
all of the subcontractors, but they all have the same pay for the most part.
And JJ joins us now fresh off of that latest trip. JJ, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. I'm really excited about talking about this is the greatest crime that is going to be uncovered in the next several years is the partnership between NGOs and the federal government in the tune of tens of billions of dollars, if not hundreds of billions of dollars after this 4-year term of Biden's over.
So you were just, you don't have to tell us the location because we don't want to give away any sources of who you spoke with, who obviously didn't want their face on camera. But you went into this, I think, with some ideas about how these NGOs were operating, right? These non-governmental organizations, there's thousands of them that are ferreting individuals across the border and then dispersing them across the United States, a lot of them with funding from the United States government. But when you set foot into these interviews, did it stun even you, or did you already know all of these things?
No, it did stun me. If I'm being completely honest, I had a very good idea of what was going on, what was transpiring. But when you talk to people that are inside those meetings, so the individual that I talked to was a DHS employee. He was the guy that cut the checks to the NGOs. And he's telling me, he's laying it out for me about what this looks like. He cut checks to Jewish Family Services, Catholic Charities, and a couple other. And I said, tell me about, just give me an example. And he goes, okay, Jewish Family Services, let me explain how this works. So Jewish Family Services, I said, tell me the amount, okay, before you get started. He said, $600 million. And I said, okay, was that 2 or 3 years contract? He goes, no, that was like 2, 3 to 6 months max. Wow. Max. Then he said, what was really stunning to me is this is where the money laundering scheme comes in. So he goes, you have Jewish Family Services at the top. He says they have 50, so let's just say 50 to 100 subcontractors underneath him. After I give them, he's telling me, after I cut that check for $600 million, then those smaller subcontractors that are responsible for food, clothing, housing, whatever that $600 million does not cover or did not cover enough, those subcontractors call us and say, we need 10 million here, we need 5 million here. And I say, well, do you vet it? He goes, no, we're in emergency mode. So we cut the checks immediately to him. Immediately. And he says, but this is where it gets crazy, JJ. He said, when I cut the checks to the subcontractors, I'm cutting the check to the same payee. I'm sending the same funds to Jewish Family Services, the same account. So you have Jewish Family Services getting $600 million, but you have 50 to 100 subcontractors that I'm paying, but I'm paying to the same bank account as Jewish Family Services. It's all a lie. It's just all a lie. And I said, okay, well, you cut $600 million check. Are you now tracking that to check? And he goes, listen, you have to understand, JJ, nobody's following the money. No one cares. He says, you have to understand the federal government created a chaotic situation on the border. You have millions of people coming to the border. The Border Patrol, DHS, CBP, FEMA, no one has the resources, manpower to move millions of people from the border into America. That's where the NGOs come in. The NGOs are the movement of people and goods into America.
The NGOs are not complicit. My God, they're directly involved. And most of the NGOs are under the umbrella of the United Nations. And I expected that, Gordon, from you. But it's never the Jews laughing out loud. Holy shit, what about Catholic Charities? Same thing as the Jewish Family Services. Same thing happens with Catholic Charities. But then someone's going to say, yeah, but the Jews control them. Idiots. So, the link is in the chat. If I didn't put it in already, I'm putting it in now. Gordon, you really are just a jerk. God. I'd love to ban you. Oh, but then you're going to go and say, oh, you can't have free speech. I don't like speech that attacks groups. Okay? Because you can really see how you're walking the low path. All right, so U.S. banks suffer $80 billion in deposit decline because people don't have the money But the stocks are soaring. Have you seen? Oh, 40,000. I think I actually took a capture. Oh my God. And people think that it's all kosher. Where was it? Oh, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. Dow, 40,000. Yeah, and you got all the freedom from the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty, Dow, 40,000, and it's all rigged. It has nothing to do with the economy. So, we're going down. Oof, it hurts. Households earning $300,000 a year plus are biggest beneficiaries of new student debt cancellation plan. And here's Marsha. Unless it's Christians? Question mark. Never once have I attacked the entire group of Christians. I have spoken about the hypocrisy of an awful lot of Christians. And a whole lot of Christians throughout the years have agreed with me. A whole lot didn't leave comments because they didn't want to be attacked by other Christians. So they emailed me. Okay? I take every individual as they come. Unfortunately, I have met a lot of Christians, and they're quite a disappointment. That's been my experience of a whole lot. And a whole lot lie, gaslight, scapegoat, and do things that screw other people. So, on that note, let's go on with the economy. So this is a real benefit to those who are making good money. The average debt relief for those households is $25,500. Wow. Biden introduced new provisions to his student debt relief plan earlier this month, and the primary beneficiaries are high-income earners. Biden's 2023 SAVE plan already put taxpayers on the hook for $475 billion. The new plan adds $84 billion to that, largely by canceling the student debt of some 750,000 households making more than $312,000 a year on average. And yeah, I mean, nothing. Christians get criticized, Marsha, because they need to be criticized. In fact, Christians should be criticizing other Christians. They live a satanic lifestyle, calling themselves Christians. That's what it means to take the Lord's name in vain. June 23, the Supreme Court struck down the Biden administration's previous loan forgiveness program, which was implemented without congressional approval. So, how is it that people actually applaud the actions of a dictator? Oh my God. Americans, wake up. Smell the coffee. Long-term care facilities are closing and struggling to stay open. More than 1,000 nursing and long-term care facilities across the country have closed since 2015, leaving 44,459 residents displaced, and those numbers continue to rise, and they will rise. Absolutely, Marcia. That's absolutely correct. Nearly a third of Salem-Keizer Public Schools employees terminated or resigned. 1,200. This is in Oregon. Okay, the numbers, why is it so dark? I don't get it. Again, that update screwed up everything. It shouldn't be this dark. I shouldn't be this dark. What I say is dark, but I shouldn't be this dark. So, yeah, we've got an awful lot of people losing their jobs in the public school system. In fact, here's another one who apparently is not letting people go, but is not giving any pay raises next year and cutting hours. Oh boy. So, yeah, don't buy the spin. Americans are getting poorer while prices keep going up. Don't we know that? Real average weekly earnings fell to $1,191.93 in April, declining by 0.4% in the month and 4.8% compared to the start of Biden's term in January 2021. A decline in earnings is also due in part to a decrease in the average number of weekly hours worked, which fell from 34.9 in January 2021 to 34.2 in April. Real wages have been degraded due to persistently high inflation. The average number of hours worked per week has declined because employers are resorting to cutting hours and shifting to part-time jobs to offset the increase in costs and slack in business conditions. The president, really? Biden touted on Wednesday that inflation has fallen more than 60% from its peak? He actually said that? While the inflation rate has decelerated around 62% from its peak, inflation has not fallen, and the rate continues to fail to come close to the Federal Reserve's target range of 2%. 2%. The number of people employed in part-time positions because of poor business conditions or they could only find part-time work increased by 161,000 jobs in April. Around 1 million more people held part-time jobs in April compared to the previous year, while the number of people employed in full-time jobs declined by 557,000. We're in such bad shape, boy. We need community. And I'm just going to play a few minutes of this. This economy is making people sick, literally. And yeah, he's got it right. I'll put the link in. You can listen to the full video. But how he starts off is exactly right.
You know, when I read about this, not only was I not surprised, but I wanted to try to do my part to try to fight against this just a little bit, because about half of all Americans right now are saying that this entire situation with the economy and their finances is starting to take a toll on their mental health. So at least I figured during this video, we can walk along the beach and be a nice, relaxing atmosphere. I always love coming out and doing videos at the beach, especially when it's overcast like this, because it's just a little less hot. Right now, it's actually still very hot here, even though it doesn't look like it. It feels like 102 degrees here, guys. Last time I felt this hot was last summer in Palm Springs. So right now you have 47% of adults say that they have concerns about money. This causes them anxiety, it causes them stress, causes them worrying thoughts, loss of sleep, depression, and other things that are not good for you. This is according to Bankrate's latest money and mental health survey. You know, a lot of people will say, well, Michael, all you do in your videos is talk about all of this bad stuff, and that probably makes it worse for people. Well, that's not how I see it. Actually, from my perspective, I look at it as if you know about all the stuff that's happening and you have more of a chance to prepare for it than the next guy, then that should actually help you sleep at night, knowing that you're doing at least everything you can to better your situation given the circumstances versus somebody who doesn't know anything and is kind of just like blindly going into this recession, not knowing how they're going to be affected by it.
And I find it funny that people could actually say something like that. That comes, I think, from people who are still comfortable and just don't want to hear how many Americans are really suffering. But if you don't know that, then you'll just go about your business thinking everything is just fine, right? I mean, if it stresses you out, you've got to work on that because, it shouldn't be information that stresses people out. It should be information that motivates people to help other people in their community. America's dairy cow replacement inventory collapses to 2-decade low. They're killing off the cows, whether it's due to weather or bird flu. Bird flu. All right, this guy, a big new product pusher, right, comes out now and says, and this is Francis Collins, former National Institute of Health director, confirms that Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx did not base the pandemic-era 6-foot social distancing rule on science, and instead were making things up as they went along. Now that needs to be circulated so that Americans get. They made things up. They didn't base things on science. So all of the crap that we heard about trust the science was just that. Crap. But it destroyed an awful lot of lives. Yeah. And they should be held to account, but they won't be. 25-year-old Bank of America analyst dies suddenly of cardiac arrest while playing soccer at industry event. Huh. Interesting, huh? Yeah, very interesting. So, if the government can suspend your rights anytime it deems something as a crisis, you don't have rights. You have permission from the government, and then they yank it away while our country sleepwalks through the deadly aftermath of the evil COVID-19 operation. The World Health Organization puts the final touches on a nice bit of fuckery called its Pandemic Treaty on International Health Regulations, or One Health Initiative, a globalist power grab disguised in the saintly white robes of public health medicine. The agreement, to be finalized at the end of this month, will cede what's left of your liberty to this unelected bureaucracy for the sake of global equity and inclusivity, meaning more lockdowns, constant surveillance, forced vaccinations, restrictions on medications, censorship of anyone who voices a contrary opinion of these actions. And it's not just on pandemics, but that they got climate change in there too. And we're doing nothing about it. Okay. Judge, a couple of lives ago, I don't know, it could have been last night or 2 nights ago, I showed a judge who was drunk with his wife, who came out beating up a neighbor and thought, of course, name dropping and, the police were going to bow down to the judge. Well, the police didn't bow down to that judge, and that was, I believe, in Brooklyn. This one, a judge in Oklahoma charged in drive-by shooting.
Oklahoma judge in court, but on the opposite side of the bench.
He was there to face newly filed felony charges for allegedly shooting up his own brother-in-law's home. News 4's Amaya Ward went to Enid for today's hearing.
The judge entered a not guilty plea on behalf of Brian Lovell, his attorney telling me they plan to fight this case vigorously.
We intend to attack the jurisdiction and soundness of the indictment.
A multi-county grand jury indicting Garfield County Associate District Judge Brian Lovell Thursday on 2 felony counts for a drive-by shooting in February 2023. The alleged target, his own brother-in-law. We talked to him months after.
I had no idea that it could have been Brian Lovell.
Kenneth Marcus says his son saw an unfamiliar car moments before bullets began flying.
Seeing a person in a window and missing by a matter of inches is not just a random shooting.
Months later, investigators say the judge was involved in a road rage shooting in Austin, Texas, and casings from that incident matched the ones used in the drive-by shooting.
He was special judge about 10 years before that.
His attorney, Stephen Jones, who also represented Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh, won't comment on the case in Texas, but is standing by his client on the charges in Oklahoma.
It was a long time before the indictment was returned, and that bears on him and his family. But he's a strong character. In my view, he's innocent.
In Enid, Amaya Ward, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Amaya, we know you'll follow what Lovell is expected back in court sometime.
Is something wrong with our officials today? Drive-by shooting, Texas road rage incident, and another drive-by shooting at his brother-in-law's house or something? Is something wrong? Something's very wrong. Pilot refuses to take off for 6-hour flight over ocean and saves lives.
They wanted him to take off, but the pilot said no. And let's listen. Here we go.
The aircraft is being observed, so to speak, because oil pressure on the number 2 engine is trending upwards. And the aircraft is going to require, actually it's the fuel pressure.
It's the fuel pressure.
Fuel system filter replacement when the aircraft gets back from Hawaii. They've told us that the plane's good to go, but I'm not really feeling it.
I'm not. That's what. So the pilot says they tell us the plane's good to go, but I'm not really feeling it.
That's not a good thing to say.
I like that he said that.
No, I mean, it's good that he said that, but that's not a good thing, you know?
I'm not going to leave the ground if I'm not completely certain that we have an airworthy aircraft, so I'm going to probably err on the side of caution, and I'm refusing the aircraft. So what that means for you right now, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if we have another airplane here at the airport, but I hate to do this to you, but this is one of those tough calls that I have to make, and I feel a lot more comfortable making this call than flying 6 hours over the water and maybe having an issue. Anyway, that's where things stand now. I apologize for that. Your morning hasn't been so good. We do appreciate your patience, though. We're going to have everybody deplane the aircraft here momentarily.
It sounded like.
And some of those passengers were quite happy that he made that call. 2 dead after Amazon semi-truck hits overpass.
East lanes of Interstate 10 Interstate 10 right at 339th Avenue still closed right now, Trent. But as you can see, this is Interstate 10 completely shut down in this area as investigators try to piece this together. We do know that 2 Amazon workers killed in this crash this afternoon. Just spoke with an Amazon official. They tell us that they are now aware of this crash and have started their own internal investigation into what started this as well. We also spoke with ADOT, who tell us that 18-wheeler hitting the center median structure there, but tell us that they have engineers here on scene and have determined that it is indeed safe for cars and other trucks, as you can see, to continue driving over it as well. This is video from Sky 12. You can see that large scene, the aftermath of all of those packages inside of that 18-wheeler, now in the center lanes of Interstate 10 in this area. Again, 2 workers, a driver and a co-driver inside of that cab at the time, both killed. A number of investigators are here on scene with the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office.
So this is in Arizona. And what happened? What happened? Weather? What happened? I mean, Interstate 10, you're just driving along and you have a semi that just goes off the interstate and plows into a cement piling. That doesn't sound right. Nothing seems to be making any sense. Gallons of water found in gas sold at Ohio Toledo fuel station.
Anthony Wayne Trail, and the car started acting up. So when I got home,
Toledoans need help getting reimbursed for damage to their cars after they say they bought some bad gas.
Melissa Andrews is here with the story. Mel, they have proof?
This is the proof, a mixture provided by a mechanic who drained water from one of their cars. This is the gas, this the water. Both customers say they got the mix at a station in South Toledo, and then their cars stopped working.
I've been over here 10 years, and I've never went to that gas station.
Willie Coleman was running late to work one day in February, so he did something he had never done.
And I decided to stop by there to get some gas.
At this gas station at 905 South Avenue.
And I've been noticing the bags on the tanks. He's got 8 tanks there. The tanks 1 and 2 always have a plastic bag over them. So common sense to tell me something's wrong with them tanks.
But on this day, Willie says the bags were gone and he needed to fill up quickly.
So I figured they was working. So when I pulled up there, I gave her the $40. I said, here's $40, well, I'm gonna put $40 in here because I'm running late. She said, okay. She cut the pump on, I pumped the gas. I got on Anthony Wayne Trail and the car started acting up. So when I got home, the car quit running.
Willie immediately got the car to his mechanic, who had a surprise for him.
He brought me this bottle with the gasoline. The gasoline's up top here. The rest of that's water. He said, your engine's messed up. He said, we're gonna have to flush the engine, redo the whole engine, and drop all the gas out.
The bill, $1,425.53.
Now that is a mighty big bill for just putting gas in your car. It's unfortunate that we've got an awful lot of people who are just not quite right. Tourist gored by bull while visiting beach in Mexico.
A tourist gored by an angry bull in Mexico. The giant animal was on La Fortuna Beach near Cabo San Lucas, eating from a bowl.
A woman was feeding the animal before it went on the attack. Want to warn you, the video might be distressing for some people to watch. Before the bull attacked, someone yelled at the woman saying, quote, "Lady, you're really playing with it right now. Please don't do that." She refused to move away. Moments later, the bull charged her.
Holy shit. All right, prepare for anything. As I've been saying for quite a while, you never know. What the hell? All right. Wow. Biden launches a $14 million ad campaign to reach young black voters. $14 million How about all of the elderly who are being put on the streets? How about using that 14 million to keep them housed? How about it? No. 14 million. Every Democrat, especially, should be ripshit about that.
Joe Biden is getting the job done for people just like me.
One of the many ads voters will see this month aimed at people of color. A $14 million media package in May. Then the announcement of more than $16 billion for historically black colleges and universities, which staffers say is
unprecedented, a record amount.
And on Friday, President Joe Biden at the Museum of African American History, celebrating the 70th anniversary of a landmark civil rights win for education.
My predecessor and his extreme MAGA friends are now going after diversity, equity, and inclusion all across America. They want a country for some, not for all.
Black voters helped Biden beat former President Donald Trump in 2020. They still support him, but recent polls show about 20% of younger black voters choosing Trump.
There's an NBC documentary, animal documentary, that claims this is a queer planet. That's right. I can't even. I'm going to post the link. If you want to watch this, I listened to it once. I just can't listen to this crap anymore. And it is, I mean, okay. I don't. I'm now experiencing stuttering because I'm on a live and I should be talking and saying something, but I just don't know what to say anymore about an awful lot. So, the decay of everyday life. I'll post the link to this. You can read it. I'm going to read just a very little because there's another article that I hope I have the energy to read because it's very good. Gary Barnett, who, no, I don't agree with everything, but a whole lot I do. But here, Charles Hugh Smith, the erosion of the fundamental elements of everyday life, work, opportunity, social, mobility, security, well-being, which includes civility, conviviality, holy shit. It means friendliness. So let's go with friendliness. Wow. And a functional, competent social political order. In other words, everyday life includes far more than money. But that's what we value. And that's unfortunate. Yes, everyday life includes far more than the financial statistics of a gross domestic product, the stock market, wealth, and income. Everyday life is fundamentally about relationships and agency, which means control of one's life and ownership of one's work, the fulfillment of life's purposes, livelihood, family, friends, community, and self-growth. Look, man, we failed, okay? Big time. The focus on material success, while the bullshit mouthing of, these principles and the values that people have on the whole, okay, the majority of Americans, has tanked us. Included in that is leisure time and the experiences of everyday living, both the stressors and the joys. Everyday life. Yeah. Elements of everyday life have decayed over the past 40 years. Life is more difficult and less secure in ways that are not offset by technological advances. Indeed, the most highly touted technological advances, internet and mobile phones, have increased the burdens of shadow work and introduced new pathways of addiction and stress that have reduced well-being rather than being free. They include structures of control that we have yet to grasp, much less limit. So sad. It is so sad. And do we need to build up all of that? The community, friends, family, you know? Yeah, we do. So, rather long article. The pathetic want of rule, authority, and collectivism has led to the tortured enslavement of man. Authority allows two roles, the torturer and the tortured, twist people into joyless mannequins that fear and hate while culture plunges into the abyss. Alan Moore, V for Vendetta. Every aspect of government, every moronic vote for any master, every atrocity, every war, every form of censorship, every genocide, every economic disaster, and every form of totalitarianism is fully dependent on the lack of self-ownership by any and all in the collective herd of those who voluntarily allow themselves to be enslaved by any ruling state. Any acceptance of rule, any rule, is the antithesis of freedom. The very idea of rule runs counter to any sanity, and no one who accepts rule without active and forceful dissent deserves his lot in life as a slave. This is the actual problem. This is the bottom line. This is the big picture. All else is but a consequence of the allowance of rule, concentrating on hate every singular event, every form of tyranny, every isolated evil perpetrated or allowed by the state, every psychotic election, and every pitiful, falsely claimed victim, all while ignoring, chastising, negating, and abandoning the individual and independent self-rule, is cause for great alarm. When this attitude is broad-based and taken up by the masses, which happened a long time ago, collective ignorance and universal stupidity becomes the norm. This causes division and constant blame where it should not exist, for the real problem lies with the fact that the people, individually and collectively, have accepted authoritative governance as their God. This, of course, seems to this doltish society of fools as the easy way out, so as not to have to be responsible for themselves or their own subsistence. What a society like this breeds is exactly what we have today in this country and most of the rest of the world, especially in the West. A pathetic, weak, and controlled proletariat class, dependent on their chosen masters' whims, restrictions, and regulations. They wallow in complacency while choosing to exist as submissive addicts of rule. The incessant nature of this total societal laziness, irresponsibility, and cowardice is cloaked in ignorance, fear, and hate for one another, all solicited by the governing slime and all unwarranted. For you, Christine Lynn, for you. The end product that arises from this societal mindset, especially in the US, is eye-opening to say the least. Most of the people here actually believe they are free and live in a free country. They are fat and happy, regardless of the tyranny they face, and able to eat all the poison that fast food chains and processed manufacturing can dish out. Soon already are. To be in the form of genetically modified organisms, fake meat, worms, bugs, chemicals, metals, and unknown biological and technological nanoparticulate matter. We're there. This is happening while the vast majority have no concept of their fate due to their blind obedience to the state and its agendas. Hypocrisy and contradiction are rampant among this complicit population, and it is seemingly never-ending. Much of this behavior is based on the concept of duality of standards. This is a common theme, especially concerning Americans. They tend to take on an air of sympathy, mostly false, I might add, for the plight of others around them, whether locally, nationally, or internationally, not because it is legitimate, but because of arrogance, superiority complex, or the need to pretend to care, so as to please their particular groupthink role. This conjures up images of race baiting, red against blue, right against left, forced inclusion, diversity, nonsense, the idiocy of transgender policies, so-called anti-war attitudes, which rarely actually exist from either side, and the incredibly ludicrous notion of spreading democracy, as if that is not pure aggression in any form. Most Americans support war, regardless of the level of slaughter and death, so long as it is pretended to be for the right reasons. And this is being waged to suit deceitful manufactured state narratives, usually based on illegitimate fear and promoted by the scum in government, military, and media. Since spoiled Americans do not have brutal war in their country, it is easy to feign false empathy and fake concern for others while getting fat watching fake television news and supporting this country's foreign policies, which are the most brutal in the history of man. USA, USA, USA. Currently, approximately half the country are pretending to support the evil Zionists in Israel, and about half pretending to support Palestine. I would beg to differ there. There are people who are. Well, there's an awful lot who support the evil Zionists, for sure. It's always easy. It's always easier to support evil because you don't have to do anything. Much harder to support good. And there's an awful lot that are not pretending to support what's happening with the Palestinians, to support the Palestinians. The U.S. government is claiming both sides at once, and the lowly masses are falling right in line. The U.S. is up to its neck using the tax revenue and all the fake money it can create to fund every war, whether in Israel, Syria, Yemen, Ukraine, or elsewhere, and the population here has only to decide which party supports which side in order to choose their team, but both sides support war. Yes. If they actually wanted to stop war, they would eliminate the single cause of war, which is the state and its governing monsters, instead of taking sides akin to a sporting event. When the U.S. attacked Vietnam, killing millions of innocent civilians, there were again two sides of the same coin, and both at the time also supported the government, who aggressively prosecuted that heinous war when the U.S. aggressively attacked Afghanistan and Iraq, again killing millions, including 500,000 children under the age of 5. Most in this country were watching this evil on television and applauding the bombings, sanctions, and total destruction of countries and people. Shock and awe every night. Right? Remember that? For the entirety, it has been the same from both sides. Every conflict, every war of aggression for the entirety of history, this is hypocrisy at its highest level, but then contradiction lives and breathes in the good old USSA. The actual murderers, who are the assassins for the state, are the military. But most all in this country still cheer them on. Thank you for your service. On their slaughter of innocents. They act on orders alone and not moral behavior, killing without conscience. The military-industrial complex is the fascist partner of government and only acts in the interest of the state, only acts in the interest of their own interests. Throw away the flag of death, refuse to utter any allegiance to the bloodied flag, and withhold any support for the anthem of war. It seems, no, it is almost certain. Yeah, it seems, no, doesn't seem. It is almost certain that people everywhere support the very evil they claim to abhor. Every country on earth has a government, and every government is pure evil, only seeking money, power, and control over their subjects. In World War II, the German people supported German government. The Americans supported the U.S. government. The British supported the government in England, and on, and all supported war. Any who shun rule, any who loathe war, any who want to be free, have to stop all state authority. That's the only way that we're going to get out of this. But we do have way too many who bow down to their god, government. It's never happened, that people will abolish the perpetrator of war, which is the state. Never happened. So why do so many think things will improve by their continued support for any state or nation? Why do any believe that authority of any kind is the answer, when in fact that authority is the entire problem? In order to be truly free, all rule must be abandoned in favor of natural law and self-rule. So long as government and authority are present, slavery will remain universal, and mass obedience to that authority will be the way of life. Instead of concentrating on each and every incident of economic destruction, carnage, rape, theft, torture, murder, killing, and perversion of children and war, forcefully challenge the cause of all this horror, which is the government you alone allow to exist. Yeah, we have a hand in this great nightmare. There's a dance between the government and the people, and unfortunately, too many people are swinging with their government. The big picture will not ever change so long as the masses concentrate on the results of rule, as opposed to the fact that rule itself is the problem and cause of all the terror inflicted on the bulk of humanity. You are a huge part of the problem. That's why I like Gary Barnett. Yes, he has the guts to say it. We're all a huge part of the problem. Do we have to change our ways? Absolutely. All those who seek or allow rule, allow government, and willingly obey a master are the problem. All those who voluntarily choose, vote, to select a new master with expectations of ending tyranny are the problem. All those who cower and hide from responsibility in the face of totalitarian rule are the problem. All those who respect authority are the problem. The only way any government or state can rule, the only way it can demand compliance of its criminal arbitrary laws, the only way it can advance any war is with the voluntary consent of the people. Withhold that consent, negate all authority, and defend at all costs your own liberty. It is time to eliminate the state once and forever and send it to the depths of hell where it belongs. You might think that there's some authority you could look to for answers, but all of the authorities you can think of are fake. It's only handed to them by the people. That's where their power comes from. Take away that power. Yeah. But that includes all of us. It includes a whole lot of the awake crowd. And that's why we can't get anywhere. We can't take down the state without a unified people. We don't have that. We're too immature. We're too comfortable. We don't like to do anything to change our own behaviors. So we've lost this thing we call life, but we do have control over our own behavior in our own communities where we can help one another. Where we can be of use. And as far as I'm concerned, it's essential. We need to grow up. We need to take very seriously life. We need to stop talking our beliefs and values and start living them. And things in communities could change. You could demonstrate to your community you're being a power of example. It's that be the change you want to see. Be it. So on that note, thank you for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow night. Yeah. Do what you can. It's very important. And be safe out there. And as always, good night. And good luck. Ciao, guys.